Hi, everyone. Welcome to the second author chat for the Verity Kent Read-Along. I'm so happy you can join me. This time we are talking about books 3 and 4, Penny for Your Secrets and A Pretty Deceit. So if you have any questions you'd like me to answer or just a topic you'd like me to discuss, please just post those in the chat and I will see them and I will get to those. I have a few questions that people gave me ahead of time that I'm going to address. A lot of things happen in these two books. In Penny for Your Secrets, we meet Lord Ardmore for the first time, Verity's nemesis. We find out what a baddie he is. We also discover the first part of the missing cargo that gets taken by the Zabrina. And in A Pretty Deceit, we discover that it's actually Phosgene, and it's the start of that plot. And I know that goes through book 9 still. So lots of stuff that kind of gets in the works with these two books. We really get in, hit our strides in the series. So the first question I want to address is someone wanted to know about the inspiration for Verity's clothing and design touches in all the homes. So yes, I always try to use real fashion plates that I find online. I search for those pictures. I love it when they have descriptions so I know exactly what I'm looking at. Otherwise, I'm just kind of guessing somewhat. The colors, I look up what colors are fashionable, those kind of things, the hats, all those kind of things. Jewelry, I try to use a real item and replicate that. Maybe I make some tweaks to it and that kind of thing. So for the houses, a lot of times I use real houses. I look them up. I find out their design specifications, or sometimes I'll use rooms from another house and put it in the house that I happen to want to use. So, or a piece of furniture that I see in a museum or a painting or all those kind of things. So I usually try to use real objects and I shuffle them around. And that's why I'm able to have good descriptions and things of those, because I try to find real things. So, and then sometimes I do just invent things. So, and I do enjoy it. And Verity is, I always talk about this, that whoever is the point of view that you're speaking from, which in my mystery series happens to be my heroines because they're in first person, they will see things differently than other people. So for example, Lady Darby is an artist. So when she walks in a room, she's going to notice the art. That's one of the things she's going to notice, or the colors or things like that. Verity is very much, she loves fashion and she uses it as armor and a weapon, and just because she enjoys it. And so she's going to notice the fashion. She's going to notice the designs, those kind of things. So I always try to keep that in mind when I'm writing from a certain person's point of view. What things are they most likely to notice, and what are they likely to know? I mean, if you have a character who doesn't know anything about flowers, they're not going to describe what the flower is. They're going to just say the yellow flower. So all those kind of little tips. But anyway, did you hit a point when writing books 3 and 4 when you started outlining 5 and 9 through 9, excuse me? So a little bit. I don't know. The way I work is I tend to keep notes. I keep copious notes. So when I was writing book 3, I was keeping copious notes of things that I was going to have to carry through and take care of in future books. And to a certain point, I knew, that this was going to have to be addressed at a later date. And so I would, make a note of that, hoping that I get to keep writing the series, that kind of thing. So it's like I do plan, but also sometimes I just leave it open to mystery and I make sure that I don't forget about it, that kind of thing. But yeah, some of the aspects like the Phosgene, I had to plan very far ahead. Ardmore, I had to plan far ahead. Alec, I had to plan far ahead, things like that. So I did to a certain extent, but like not in depth. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question. So, and if you have a question or a comment, please post them in the live chat and I will get to them, I promise. Next question. In the flashback, Basil Scott was so horrible to Verity that it seemed he must be the traitor. Was his behavior due to suspicions over a woman messenger, or did I miss something? So, yes. So Basil Scott, I mean, obviously, I set that up as so you would think he was the traitor to begin with because he is so horrible. He is definitely suspicious of Verity. I mean, why wouldn't they be? Who is this woman that all of a sudden shows up? I mean, even Bishop is out, the guns all pointed at her, all those kind of things. So at first, it's like, very, very, very unusual circumstances because for a very good reason. So Basil Scott is that, and then he's a hardened soldier. He wants the information. Then later on, he's definitely suspicious, and as it plays out in that. So yeah, it's a lot to do with who is this person that showed up. And I meant to go more into the background of his character, but I run out of time sometimes with the books. I can't have it go on for 500 pages. My publisher won't let me do that. So sometimes things get cut that maybe would added some more depth to that. But yes, he's suspicious because she is someplace she's not supposed to be. He's asked to escort her. Maybe he even thinks that it's his job to get more information from her. So, but yeah, he is terrible. Anyway, it seems by this point, meaning a pretty deceit, you had decided Alec was going to Ireland. At what point did you decide Verity and Sydney would follow? So I've talked about this before. After World War I, Germany is in collapse. I mean, they're starving, their economy's in crumbles, they are just in dire straits, and their intelligence basically collapses also. They're not a threat. They're no longer a threat. So the threat to Britain now, as far as intelligence is concerned, is Ireland because of the revolution and the rebels and Russia. And so I knew if I was going to keep Verity going with this intelligent angle and have her interacting with British intelligence, that I needed to send her one direction or the other eventually. And I picked Ireland because I was just fascinated by Ireland. I wanted to research that more. Russia seemed really daunting to try to tackle because I just don't know as much about Russia. So I decided, and I don't know, it seems kind of pretty bleak. I don't know, but that's just my me not knowing stuff. So I decided I really wanted to investigate Ireland. I really wanted to look into the Irish Revolution. And I found out it's so fascinating. The history it's amazing and terrible and all those things. And I feel like it's sad that the United States, we don't get taught much about it, just the bare essentials. And there's just so much we don't even know, even still now, because Britain, UK, sealed all those records. They still haven't released them, even though supposedly it's time to. And people think it's because it would ignite such a powder keg with what stuff that happened. So I had chosen Ireland. So I knew, yes, that I was going to send Alec there. And I knew he was going to be kind of my in for why they ended up there, Verity and Sydney. So that's a definite yes. I knew at this point that they were going to go there and that it was probably going to be about book 7 that they would head to Ireland. I didn't initially plan for it to be a trilogy in Ireland, but I just found so much fascinating information about the Irish Revolution and I just really wanted to highlight it. And I just felt like I feel like I haven't even with 3 books skimmed the surface of everything that happened. I mean, so, to try to do it in one just seemed insane. So, I mean, I feel like you could write 20 books about it. There's just so much. So, but yes, really fascinating history if you've never looked into it. And I really tried to do my due diligence and get it right and try to be fair-handed with both sides. I know it's impossible, to be completely fair-handed, but I tried. So, and I tried to get the research right and all those. So I hope, we'll get to book 7 and 8 with our read along soon. And then 9 comes out in August. So I hope you guys will check it out and you'll see how it all ends. And it does not end. The Irish Revolution does not end. We don't get to the end of the revolution, I guess, at the end of book 9 is what I'll say. So let's see. Oh, thank you. Yes. I love, so I'm a musician. So art is important to me. Music's important to me, all those kind of things. I think they're just things that I notice also. So let's see. We have a question. What inspired you to want to show the effects, obvious and subtle, that war has on people even after it ends? So I've talked before about how I wanted to delve into World War One because I just felt like it didn't get talked about a lot, especially in the United States. And there was just so much interesting history there. And then, when I decided to do a mystery series, I realized to be able to write mysteries and to be able to have a romance that centers on a marriage, recovering from war, and all those kind of things. When you write a book that's set during the war, the book becomes about the war. I mean, it's impossible for it not to. It just kind of overtakes everything, even when you have those plots within it. So I decided, I want to include the war, but I want it to be set after the war. That way I can kind of pick and choose what I want to highlight. And I can have, flashbacks and those kind of things. And I can really delve into all these unsolved mysteries and things that carried over. And just when I started doing the research, I started realizing how much war really affects everyone, the soldiers when they come back, but the people at the home front. I mean, all these people, and we don't hear about it a lot. I mean, it gets so glorified, and it's just such a terrible thing. It's just, people, when you really understand what war is about, it's not glory, and nobody wants to live through that. And so I really wanted to highlight that, and all the different various aspects that we don't think about, like, for example, in A Pretty Deceit, the alcoholism, that these women at home, they were shouldering so much, and just the worry and the never knowing, and all that. And you could hear the guns depending on where you lived in England. I mean, it was so close, and yet so far away, and just the horrors of everything. And there's the soldiers not talking about it because they didn't want their families exposed to it, and the propaganda try to keep the public from knowing about that, and just so much into it. And so I just really wanted to delve into as much of that as I could. And there were so many different aspects, doing so many different things. And so, I mean, you could write 50 books and not cover everything probably. So yes, I definitely wanted to do that. And I hadn't read a lot of books that did do that. And so it just ended up becoming important to me to feature those things. So, and, even the soldiers, there's just so many aspects, some of them were blinded. What did that mean? Some of them, their faces were horribly disfigured. What did that mean? They lost legs, they had PTSD, there's all these kind of things. So then that's just the soldiers. So, that were coming home, or they lost hearing, or, I mean, there's just so many aspects. And it's not just the Western Front, there's people that were in Palestine area, and there were people in Gallipoli and all those kind of places. So anyway, just a lot that you could feature. And so I wanted to do that. So any other questions or comments, please post those so I don't miss them. Alec does become a more major part of the plot. I think I mentioned in one of my previous videos that I didn't necessarily plan for him to be. He's kind of like Bonnie Brock and Lady Darby. He just kept coming around, kept sticking around. And he was such a fun character to write. And, that he understands aspects of Verity that the other characters don't, because he's a fellow agent. So getting to use him, and, then when I decided to go to Ireland, he just became a critical character, really, to get me to be able to interact with the rebels, with Michael Collins and all those kind of things. So yeah, so Alec is fun, but also became critical just because he gave me some ins in some areas that I would have had more of a difficult time realistically trying to work out. So I also love that now that Verity and Sydney's marriage isn't quite so rocky, there's a lot of playful moments in some of these books, and those are always just fun to write, to have them teasing each other and those kind of things. Or like in Pretty Deceit with Dr. Razy, when he's teasing her about the doctor and all that. And then it adds some lighthearted moments to a lot of seriousness. So I know a lot of you like the birthday scene that they have, Max and Verity's birthday and A Pretty Deceit. That would just ended up working out well. I had picked their birthdays, and then I realized, oh wait, hey, I could use that in this book. Because a lot of times I try to have those dates and stuff, or a general idea for my characters, so that because realistically you would mark birthdays and all those kind of things. So, um, trying to think what else to tell you all. I do highlight a lot of these things in the videos, um, and a lot of the history and those kind of things. If there's anything else you want me to cover, please post that in the comments. Um, I am currently working on, because I get asked this a lot, I'm still working on the Gothic suspense. It's currently still titled A Forsaken Place. I am close to my deadline, so I'm working very diligently on that, trying to get that finished. And then I'll be moving on to the next Lady Darby. So, which Bittercut comes out in late June, and The Bravest Hour comes out in late August. So, lots coming up this summer. I'll be busy, which is always good. So, any other questions or comments? Otherwise, I will probably wrap this up early because there's no reason to drag it out. So, oh, book tour. Yes, I was hoping to do one. At this point, my publisher is not assisting with that, I guess I would say. And so it becomes a major expense. So I am not sure yet what's happening there. Um, yeah. So when I do have events, I will be announcing those as soon as I do have them all finalized. I do have some virtual things coming up, and I may have some events, but it just may not be as big of a tour as I was hoping. So that's just life. It's, not, there's some authors that do tours, but a lot of them, I think them do them on their own now, or they're so big that their publishers are willing to swing a large tour. So, um, it's just kind of the way it is. So I would love to come everywhere that I could. It's just a matter of timing and cost. So we'll see. There's still some time yet to figure all that out. So, but I know it's getting close now. So, any other questions? Wait just a second. Oh, you are so welcome. I wonder, I know not everybody can get it on at the same time, so I'm glad to see some people making remarks in that. So, any other? If not, I'm going to close out for the night. So, please, you are always welcome to post comments and questions to my posts, and I try to answer those, or I may save those for the next author chat. So, which will be in about 6 weeks. So, nothing else, then I think I will end it, and I will say to you all, have a wonderful night.